Hey, thanks for joining us for another round of Mums at the Table, a place where we have real conversations about real situations. My name is Fiona, joining me for a chat, the three wise women, Shona, good to see you, Rachel.
I will take it when I can get it.
And Julie.
Hi.
Good to see you. How are you, ladies?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm loving the colour coordination.
Yeah, orange.
Apparently I'm not colour coordinated. Don't worry about that. Anyway, coming up for the most part, it's all about the hashtag YTB, yeah, the boys, as we will be sitting down with Warwick Marsh from Dads for Kids Fatherhood Foundation to talk faith, fatherhood and supporting kids. Now, you may have heard some people say big boys don't cry, but should they? We get tips on raising sons and talk about how to raise kids with good character. Gia and Olive are making a golden milk mix. What's that, you may ask? Well, stay tuned to find out. But first, as a mum going from one child to having another, did you find yourself wondering how you could possibly share the love or give another child more love and attention? Well, babygizmo.com gave us tips on how to overcome those fears by 1, multiplying love, 2, embracing each child's differences and similarities, and 3, living in the moment. Rachel, did you have these concerns when you had your, second child?
Look, I have to confess I didn't, and I don't know if I'm naive or ridiculous, but it never even crossed my mind that I would not have enough love for another child. I think my biggest fear was not being able to have a sibling for my first child.
Okay.
So I didn't even think about that. Yes, I pondered the thought of not necessarily having enough time or maybe mismanaging my time, but never crossed my mind that I wouldn't have enough love. You invite new friends and people into your circle and you love them, so I guess, I don't know, that just was the same principle here for me.
I guess where this mother was coming from in the article was that their love is so... They've given all their love to their one child. How could they possibly expand on
I remember thinking like that at the time and thinking, this is crazy. Logically, I know that the love will multiply, it doesn't divide. But emotionally, I'm thinking so much of myself has gone into this child. How am I going to share myself with a second child? And it was more about, okay, I've given you all my attention and everything for so long. How are you going to cope when suddenly, like, I'm not there for you all the time?
How did you find that?
How is the child going to go?
Yeah.
And did she?
Funnily enough, yes, she did.
Did you have to prepare your child for that new sibling coming along?
I
The
don't,
transition?
No, didn't even think to. It's just...
Didn't even think to?
No.
Wow.
I didn't-
What about you,
no.
Shona?
Well, honestly, I didn't give it a thought because ours were so close together anyway. I didn't have time to think about, am I going to have enough time for numbers 2 and 3? But I think it was a little bit further on down the track when they were both off at preschool and I had time to ponder my thoughts for a few moments a day, and I was starting to think, do I balance up enough time between the two of them? And I wasn't, so I had to sort of correct that a little bit.
Well, you obviously looked at the situation and thought, and that's true because if you're a sports fanatic and one kid likes sport more than the other, you're naturally inclined to draw yourself to that child. Did you
Well,
find?
yeah, because our first one was quite sick, so we were spending a lot of time in hospital, so we were fishing the other one off to friends and family to be looked after, and so we sort of had to pull that back and try and find some balance and spend some time with the second one.
Even as like adult child, my children are so different, and sometimes I think, I haven't seen this one for a while, and I need to spend time with this one. But what I've learned is, what I do with one child is totally different to what I do with the other child.
Absolutely.
One loves to go to musical theatre and drama and that. I do that with her. Other child couldn't stand it. So, I do other things with her. So I guess, that's what happens.
I did the same thing with my kids. Like, I've got 3 kids, so I knew, being a middle child, I knew that I wanted to focus on...
Middle
The middle child.
I know. Now, blah, 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 blah. But I focused some extra attention on her, knowing that she was never at home with me on her own to start with, and she wouldn't be the last while the other 2 were at school. So I gave her special Fridays, which we did each week. She would choose an activity, and it was just her and me doing that thing together. But my youngest had me, my oldest had me at home on their own. So, yeah, that was my way of sort of trying to manage that time thing.
Do you think it's just going to be some sort of a feeling that mothers have all the time, no matter what, that we're not giving enough? And
We always are critical of ourselves.
So we just need to be more kind, I guess, to ourselves and think about, it is what it is. And I think God puts us in situations that we can manage.
And
you got it.
And remember, He has enough love for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great example, I guess, because God does love each and every one of us in
individual ways.
Unconditionally.
And can handle all of us.
Ain't that great? Interesting perspectives, ladies. Thanks for your insights. Now, it's one thing to share the love amongst your tribe, but now it's time to share the love on the importance of raising raising kids with good character. In an article from To Love, Honour and Vacuum.com, the question of integrity versus intelligence is raised. While some parents might obsess over raising mini geniuses or worry about when they will say their first word, the article highlights how parents should stop taking pride in their child's intelligence, but instead work on building their child's character.
She looks
Shona.
at me.
You're the wise one. We all look to you.
Oh, sure. I don't think my children are extremely intelligent. I've always.
Oh, that's not very nice.
No. That. Hear me out.
I hear what you're saying.
Hear me out. They are very practical children, and
They're hands-on?
They're hands-on, and we've always told them to strive to do their best at school and do everything. But looking back now that they've left home, I can reflect on this. When we went overseas and did mission work with the kids, that's when I think they developed character.
Okay.
They developed that looking outwards to other people instead of looking inwards to me. Not saying that they're
Being
great
more
at
selfless.
it. Being more selfless, yeah.
And not
creating that Christ-like character, we wanted.
I think intelligence can be overrated. I think intelligence is often in your DNA, and of course it can be nurtured and grown.
Intelligence is across all facets of
That's
who
right.
we are.
Yeah.
It's not just academic.
And that's what worries me about as a teacher or an ex-teacher. I can say I think one kind of intelligence is valued at school, and it's not necessarily the
that's
same
the
kind
intelligence,
of
the
that gives
general
you the high IQ, which we don't kind of measure so much anymore. But it's not necessarily the intelligence that will serve you well in life.
Yeah, how do you feel when you go to the supermarket and you see this kid just going, I want, and there's no manners, there's no character to that child. You're like, please just say please or thank you.
You're wanting to step in, aren't you?
I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, but as parents, we can all teach our kids to be compassionate and to love God and to build relationships. They're all built with different amounts of intelligence. But
how do you do that?
Well, I have a daughter who is she likes herself a lot. She does the me thing a lot. And in her second year of school, I literally said to her teacher, I feel like we've got some social issues. I feel like we've got some character issues. We won't be doing much homework this year. And she was fine with that. She was on board. I communicated with her all year, but I really focused on her ability to make friends, how to handle situations, because I feel like long term, if you don't have that, it doesn't matter what your academics are, you're going to struggle.
So what we're saying is kids need to be taught character. They need to be taught morals.
Some do. I think some come with it naturally, and I think that they, it's just natural for them to help and see and look at someone else and want to, look after help. And others not so much, and they need more help. They need more teaching and guiding.
Yeah.
But I also think it goes back to the homes. As parents, we preach, but you also need to walk the talk.
Monkey see, monkey do.
If your kid is not seeing mum be compassionate, not seeing mum be kind and use her manners, or dad, or for argument's sake, what are you teaching them? So we really, we want our kids to do this.
Actions speak louder than words.
It's true, and as a mum, I get so busy and I've got my work and I've got this, and I feel like sometimes I'm not doing that enough. Like I hear what you're saying, and that's such a good reminder because, we just get taken over by life a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting, and I think also in the Bible there's the fruits of the Spirit, and I know my children at the Sabbath school, the church that we go to, they teach the fruits of the Spirit, and there's actually songs of like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and self-control. I can't remember the rest of the words, but anyway,
self-control.
Self-control, something I need. But look, I'm sure most mums may be pleased to know that research has found that a mother's genetics determines how clever her children are.
Some may dispute.
But now let's get the scoop on raising sons with our resident psychologist, Colette.
Colette on the couch, hello.
Hello.
Now, you've got 3 kids, 2 of which are boys, and we're talking about how to really bring up boys well. We know that men are facing a lot of mental health issues and others at the moment. What are some of those things that are happening in their world?
So we know suicide rates are really high with men, which speaks to the fact that somehow men are feeling unable to talk about what's going on deep inside. They're holding it all in and they don't have someone to talk to about what's going on for them. They're suppressing emotions that are natural to everybody. My husband was actually recently at a funeral and they met an old bloke. He and his best friend were there, and he met an old bloke, and this guy said to him something like, "Oh, who's this? Is this your mate?" And my husband said, "Yeah, this is my really good mate." And he said, "Oh, is he your drinking buddy at the pub?" And he said, "No, he's not. He's actually a really good friend and we share a lot." And this old man said, "You're so lucky." Because many men don't have that. And that speaks to that we need to be doing something better with our little boys to be cultivating close friendships, good mateship, the ability in them to talk about stuff that's going on in their lives in appropriate ways.
And it kind of shows that it's changed a lot, what it means to be a man, what it means to have male friends as well over the years too.
Yes.
What do you think it looks like? I mean, we're two girls talking about this, two women talking about this, but what do you think it looks like for a man to be healthy in this day and age?
So what my husband and I have tried to do with our two young boys is really just help them understand their emotions, that all emotions are appropriate and okay, even anger's appropriate at certain times if it's at injustice. It's just the way you express your anger as a man, which you need to watch. As long as you're expressing anger in ways that aren't hurtful or harmful to others, that's important. If you're feeling deeply sad or deeply moved, express that. If you feel like you need to cry or you need to talk to somebody about it, come and talk about it. Express what is going on for you. You know, that whole man up idea or you cry like a girl are really damaging. It's not to say at a certain point my 18-year-old shouldn't behave like a man. We expect him now to act like a man.
Yeah.
But it was used in derogatory ways. So throw like a girl means, well, that's pathetic.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, well, you threw well.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole term of toxic masculinity that's thrown around at the moment. We need to be careful how we use that term. That term does not mean maleness is toxic or all men are toxic. They absolutely are not. But there are certain ways that we have brought up boys that have been toxic to men's mental health, which we are seeing in the stats, and toxic things that our boys feel unable to express their emotional pain that we need to do better with.
Yeah, thank you, Colette.
Thank you.
The biggest takeaway really seems to be letting them have conversation and express themselves in the way they need to. But if you'd like to find out more about this and other conversations, make sure you follow us at Mums at the Table.
For more tips from Colette and some other awesome reads, be sure to subscribe to the Mums at the Table magazine. Just email hello@mumsathetable.com for your free copy. But now, is it okay for boys to cry? Traditionally, the culture or message has been that it isn't okay. And from a young age, our boys are taught to man up and are more often than not reprimanded for crying. Would you agree, Shona?
Oh, wholeheartedly. Them feminists over there sitting on that side of the room, they've ruined it for all our men.
Oh, we've ruined it. What have we ruined? Go on.
So do you think that boys should be allowed to cry or they shouldn't be allowed to cry? Or
I think they should be allowed to cry. I mean, we're all human beings. We're all made by God. We all have the same feelings and emotions. But however, society, the media, all of that, even though we want soft males, they're not allowed to be. Because culture and media says it's not okay.
Okay, so for raising boys in this culture, I don't have boys, you do, but my girls may marry a boy one day.
Hopefully.
Well, they may choose to marry, they may not. How do we raise boys to be okay with their emotions? Like if our culture says, no, you can't,
I think,
but we want, you know, as women, we want men that are going to be emotional and show their emotions and understand us.
I think what Shona's trying to say is, it's one thing for a girl to be, oh, yeah, I really want a nice guy. When that nice guy comes along,
they chop him off at the knees.
Yeah, look, they want a bad boy.
Yeah,
we
they
want
chop
some
him off at
emotion.
the knees. I'm sorry, they do. I've watched one of my sons is quite sensitive, and he's had a few, not girlfriends, but friends who are girls, and they just chop him off at the knees.
Well, then
When
maybe
he cries or when he gets emotional?
Well, just when he gets sad or when he gets emotional or when
But is
things are
that
not
his
going
problem
right.
or the fact that the girls can't handle
That
it?
tells me she has a problem.
Yeah,
If she
yeah.
can't handle someone else's emotion, she's the
you
one who...
feminists.
Yeah.
Do you think crying is a sign of weakness?
No.
No.
No, you don't.
No.
So have you ever cried?
I think crying is a sign
I'm
of
not a
strength.
big crier, and we've been through
Yeah.
this before, so we'll move on
Yeah.
from that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a big crier, but I did allow my boys to cry when they were young. Like, I'd
Yep.
cuddle them and I'd say, it's okay, tell me what's wrong, and we'd talk through it. But there's a certain point in their life, and I don't know whether it was peer pressure or whether it was testosterone or what it was, when all of a sudden it just stopped.
But why do you think it is that women and other people, men, can't handle men crying? What is it? Why does that make us uncomfortable? Why do we reject it? Why do we cut it off at the knees? That's my question.
People can't handle anyone crying.
Is it because they can't handle themselves with that emotion? Like, this is my question. I think it goes further than just boys shouldn't be crying or,
Yeah.
you know, man up, all of those sort of sayings.
Do we have to have those discussions with our children?
Yes.
And bring
Yeah.
it back to home as a mum, as a father.
Always.
Be okay with your son to be in touch with the feminine side. Even me saying that, a child being, you know,
touch.
a boy being in touch with their feminine side because they're more sensitive or they're more emotional.
I think-
that is also something that culture has taught us.
How do you handle it when your husband cries?
Well, he doesn't. He's not a crier. He's not a highly emotional person. I am the highly emotional person, and I got plenty for both of us.
Yeah.
But he's not an emotional person, so it's
But
not.
is that learned behaviour on his behalf? Or?
No, that's
Yeah.
who he is.
Yeah.
He's really even-keeled.
Yeah.
His emotions go this high, mine
Yeah.
go, wah, you know.
I think there's a real issue here because not only is us, I guess, well, for some of us who don't encourage people to cry with men, there's mental health issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with repressing that feeling,
What is it,
depression
anger?
sets on.
It's sadness, and then it turns into other things, which then turn into anger, which turns into
Behavioural
abuse,
issues.
and
Yeah.
all
Yep,
sorts
control
can
issues.
turn into all sorts of other things. And I think we need to make room in our society for for people, not just boys, but for people to be sad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are all human beings. We all have tears, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bible is filled with stories about men who showed emotion. So let the boys cry. I guess we'll all be better for it. But now something to turn the tears into cheers. Gia and Olive make a golden milk mix. Let's check it out.
We are making golden milk mix. Now, there's a new phase like turmeric lattes, golden milk, and yes, do you know what? If you get a good one, it's delicious. But I was at the supermarket the other day, and they're actually selling them in sachets for Buddha bowl, for your your smoothie bowls and stuff. And the sachets were like $4 for a little sachet. And I was thinking, man, I'm going to look up how to make that and actually have one in the house so that we could just make it ourselves without buying it. In the sachet, funny enough, it had all the stuff all the ingredients we're going to use today, but it also had preservatives and other things in there as well, like anti-caking agents and stuff. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's just make it without the bad stuff in it. Hey, do you want to help me? Okay, and you can give this as a gift as well if you've got someone that's into turmeric lattes. So yeah, turmeric is one of the ingredients we're going to use, and it's the main ingredient. And turmeric is an anti-inflammatory as well. So we've got the turmeric. We have cinnamon. So just throw the cinnamon in there. Ginger, which really helps it make a ginger. Oh, it gives it a bit of a spice. But we've also got black pepper. Do you want to put the black pepper in there?
By myself.
Okay, by yourself. By yourself. Everything's by myself at 3 years old. Done. So I've got a little jar. You can double the recipe and you can make a larger jar and you can give it out for birthday presents, or people just love this sort of stuff. And you can put a recipe on there for them. I'm going to share one of the recipes today because you can make an ice golden milk, or you can make a hot golden milk, instead of a hot chocolate golden milk, or you can actually put this 1 tablespoon with frozen banana in a blender, a little bit of milk, and you're going to make yourself a smoothie bowl or a smoothie. So we're going to make an ice golden milk mix. So probably about that much. I'll use probably a tablespoon or 2 teaspoons, depending on how strong you like it. I've got some boiling water. Careful. Oh, careful, it's hot. Okay. There we go. Just enough to make a paste. I'm going to throw some maple syrup in there too, because I think you want it to be a little bit sweet. If you don't want sugar, you don't have to, but it's not. You need a little bit of sugar to make the milk. It's delicious. Or you can actually put date paste in it.
Can I put the ice in there?
You want to put it in the ice? Okay. Can you pour the milk for me? Can you grab the milk and you can pour the milk? So there you go. I've just used a little bit of boiling water just to make it into a bit of a...
Can I put the
Mix
milk
it
in there?
through. Okay. Pour it in. Ready? Let's make it. Whoa, that's cool. There you go. Let's mix it around. You've got to mix it around.
By myself.
By yourself? Everything's by yourself? Okay, and there you have it. You've got a golden milk mix. You can find heaps of recipes online with this golden milk mix, but this is one of my favourites.
Mom can't drink it.
Oh, we can't drink it. Oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to have a try. Can I have a try? Wow. You know what? That is really good. I think the maple, it has a little bit of spice on your throat. That's nice. Do you want to try it? No, maybe not. See you next time. Cheers.
Joining us now for a chat on faith, fatherhood and family is the founder of Dads for Kids Fatherhood Foundation, Warwick Marsh. Thanks for being here, Warwick.
Well, it's great to be with you, Fiona, and all these wonderful ladies.
Thank you. Now, I just wanted to know, I know you've got this foundation. Why did you start the Dads for Kids Foundation?
I've got to check something. It's actually my wife and myself, so this is actually a mother's deal as much as a father's deal, number one.
I love the equality in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is she makes me look good, but don't tell him. Look, it's, no pain, no gain. Your wound becomes your message. So I grew up in a broken home. Loved my mum, loved my dad, great mum. They couldn't get along. Backwards and forwards to Scotland and England and all over the place. 13 different schools, and it's not a good way to grow up, So that's that side of it. And I was inspired by an Aboriginal pastor, Ronnie Williams, who said, Australia's greatest need is for fathers. Fathers who'll love their wives, who'll love their kids, fathers in the community, fathers in the business world, fathers in the church. So we've got a deficit of fathers, and that was Ronnie Williams' words, and I believe it's true.
My grandfather always said the greatest gift he could give his children is to love his mother. And I love that that's the message that you're giving, because we were just talking about boys earlier and how hard it can be. What, I guess, do you think a Christian man should look like, or a good man should look like?
Well, I mean, Jesus Christ was the ultimate man, the God-man, and the first Adam and the last Adam combined, I guess, be like Jesus, which, of course, that's a hard one, because you talked about a man should love his, says in the scripture in Ephesians, a man should love his wife as Christ loved the church, which actually means, I'm going to die. No, so it actually, it's a pretty heavy-duty sort of commitment.
It is a heavy commitment. So what are the messages, or what sort of activities or things do you do with your program?
Well, we train guys, and that's a big one, about that they've got to put their wife first, because you've got to keep love alive, and you've got to have an overflow of love to share the love. So a lot of guys actually don't get that. They go, what do you mean I've got to love my wife? That's so important about being a father. Well, it is. It's foundational, because that's how children came to be. It's that's that connection, quite literally, and you get children. And so that love is very critical. But look, it's about keeping the love alive by, date nights and that sort of thing. But then it's the date nights for the kids. It's the actual activities with the children as well.
So where do the men come from that are doing your courses?
Well, from all different walks of life, engineers, doctors, brickies, labourers, plumbers. So, they're quite a different, quite a broad range.
And what motivates them to come?
I think sometimes it's desperation. There's a saying by Thoreau, men lead lives of quiet desperation, and you were talking about it earlier in the program, where men don't share, and I'm a big advocate of men sharing. So the Good to Great courses are an opportunity for men to actually talk about things they've probably never talked about in their whole life, and it actually releases them. They realise that they're just the same as other men in the room, and so it brings a sort of a sense of healing and hope.
There's a concern, in the general population with some of our sporting figures who our boys look up to, and, they want to be of the same sort of, career path. How as parents can we perhaps raise boys to not condone, I'm not saying be like that person, but still admire
have
their
some
achievements.
morals and some values.
Instill those values.
Well, I think it was the Mahatma Gandhi said, you must become the change you seek. So I think children, in doing the stats and the studies, always say their mother and father they look up to their mother and father first. Yeah. The problem is that when they look up to other models, sports models and TV stars and rock stars, is because they don't actually have that active, and especially for a father, it's very critical. So dad's got to be connected. Dad's got to be, there with the children and there with the mother as it happens. And out of that love and that overflow of love, you can change family, you can change society.
So what does a connected father look like? Because we bandy it around, but if we were actually to put a camera into a family, what would a connected father look like?
It's a very good question, Sho. I think it's like it is literally been there, you know.
Right.
Bruce Robinson, Dr. Bruce Robinson from the Fatherhood Project in West Australia, he's a professor of medicine, so he's a pretty smart cook. He's come up with 3 things for dads. 3 things. So that is, number 1, you've got to get on the bus. BUS, okay? The first B is for being there.
Yep.
So you have to be there physically, but also be there in the moment, connected, you know, that sort of thing, emotionally. Listening, you know, listening is really critical. U is for unconditional love, right? A father has to show unconditional love, and fathers are conditional by nature in a sense, and that's part of that whole testosterone thing, achievement, competition, etc. But ultimately, you have to show unconditional love. And the last one, of course, is make your children feel special. So if you ask me that question, I'd say get on the bus, be there, unconditional love, and make your children feel special.
I feel like God does that with us as his children.
Yeah.
The
ultimate father.
He's present,
Yeah.
you know, is unconditional love, and he does make us feel special when you do develop that relationship with us.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a father who is there, but when you don't have a father that's there, what are the impacts on children who are raised without fathers?
Yeah, look, I experienced that a bit in my own life because I was missing my dad in my early part of my life, and so I actually dropped out of school. One of the statistics there, headed for university but dropped out of school. You know, came very close to the whole drug sort of deal, literally. But the bottom line is jail's another. You know, that's the sort of the worst case scenario. I've done a lot of work in jails, playing music and sharing the gospel, and basically jails are homes for fatherless men. You know, 70% the statistics say are fatherless. I talked to a warden in Western Sydney, and he said, "Well, Warwick, try my 100%." So you'll either believe the psychologists or the wardens, and it's one of those two.
So what can
sounds like
fathers do
Yeah.
who aren't living with their children or don't see a lot of their children? What can they do to stay involved in their children's lives?
Well, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Perseverance.
Unfortunately, is we've got an imbalance in our court system where, you know, mum's always right and dad's always wrong, and obviously the reality is that both parents make mistakes. There's, you know, there's no gender has a monopoly on vice. So we've got to sort of encourage dads to keep trying, keep connected as best you can, send those cards, send those text messages, and stay in the picture because your child needs you.
That's so true.
Great message.
Where can you get some more information on your foundation?
Well, look, Dads for Kids is our website, dadsforkids.org.au, and we've got a weekly email that we encourage dads. It goes to all over Australia, single dads, grandfathers, the whole shooting match, and there's always a joke in there because you've got to keep dads laughing, haven't you?
Thank you so much, Warwick, for being here. All the best with your cause. Ladies, thank you for a chat. As always, it's always a pleasure. And you at home, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to share, like and subscribe if you're watching us online, because there's always more room for more mums at the table. Until next time, God bless.